Hello everyone. Welcome to Cellular Healing Chat. Welcome. Good morning, good evening, whenever you are watching this. I'm just going to check to make sure I am live in the group because you never know. So give me 1 second. Okay. If you are joining me live, please say hello. And if you are watching the replay, please comment replay and I'll come back to say hello to you. And before we dive into today's topic, let's just take a moment. I would love to hear from you, and I'm very curious. If you had to name your energy right now, what would you say? Is it high, medium? Is it flowing or slow? No judging, just noticing. How would you name your energy? By the way, I have a bee flying around. Okay, anyway. All right. Okay, so your body has trillions of tiny batteries. These batteries produce energy for you every single day. They run every single function of your body, everyone. They are called mitochondria. And recently, I shared a talk using battery as an analogy. I will link that video for you to explore later. But today, I want to show you something most people were never taught. And as a matter of fact, I wasn't taught this in pharmacy school. I wasn't taught this in my functional medicine training either. But once I understand this concept, it explains so much about why midlife feels different and why chronic symptoms, chronic health issues show up. So I want to ask you, have you ever known someone in her 70s who feels like she is in her 50s, vibrant, energized, alive? At the same time, do you know somebody in her 50s who already feel like her body is struggling, who looks and feel like in her 80s? Have you ever wondered why two women with the same age can feel and look completely different in their bodies? Here in a comment with me, do you know someone like this in your life, in your friends or families? This is a piece most of us were never taught, and I'm going to share with you today. So let's pretend these two glasses I'm going to show you are mitochondria. Again, these are the batteries inside your cells. You notice the two different colors here? The white ones represent healthy mitochondria, DNA. And the red one represent damaged mitochondrial DNA. Here is something fascinating. Mitochondria, they have their own DNA. This is completely different from the 23 chromosomes, the nuclear DNA that we usually think about. This mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from mothers. So it's maternal, it's passed on through maternal lines. This is why when I work with clients one-on-one, I always ask about their mother's health and their grandmother's health. So when the mitochondrial DNA are healthy, the white ones, they produce energy efficiently. When the mitochondrial DNA becomes damaged, energy production becomes less efficient. And I want you to really feel this, the difference between a living body and dead tissue is energy. And mitochondria are what make us alive at the cellular level. So now I'm inviting you to look at these two glasses closely, and I think you should be able to see them. Here is the part that's very important. Mitochondrial DNA can be damaged for years and you won't feel anything. You only begin to notice symptoms when these damaged DNA cross a threshold. The threshold is 70%. So here's an example. This is 10% of damaged mitochondrial DNA. And in this jar, it represents 70% damaged mitochondrial DNA. Like I mentioned, the threshold is 70%. When roughly 70% of the mitochondrial DNA becomes damaged, that is when symptoms start to show up. That's when diagnoses begin to happen. Let that sink. So symptoms are not beginning of the problem. They are the moment the ratio finally crossed that threshold. This ratio has a name. It's called heteroplasmy. So heteroplasmy simply means the mix of healthy and damaged mitochondrial DNA. And I did not make this up. This is actually from a well-known mitochondrial researcher, and his name is Dr. Doug Wallace. This is from his research. And another fascinating fact I want to share with you is Dr. Doug Wallace shows that through his research, about 10% of mitochondrial DNA become damaged every decade. And this is a natural process, which explains why midlife can suddenly feel different. Not because something broke overnight, it's because this long process crossed that threshold. In our modern world, that process is happening at a faster rate. So when the energy production becomes less efficient, every single system feel it. Your brain, your digestion, your immune system, your heart, your hormones, because all of these systems require energy. So most women, like we are told to think that in midlife, going through menopause, it's because hormones are declining. And that's the only factor. It is a valid factor, but hormones are downstream from this. Another thing I want to share with you from Dr. Doug Wallace's research is that he estimated that 95% of chronic disease, chronic symptoms can be traced back to mitochondria in distress. 95%. That means only 5% of chronic disease is truly genetic in the way we were taught. So that changed the whole story, right? Because it's not just a gene, it doesn't just run in your family. This is your environment overwhelming the mitochondria. So I shared this before. I felt like I was running at 30% battery power in my early 40s. I had symptoms like brain fog, night sweats, mood swings, all the gut issues. Today I feel 99% symptom free, which means something changed. So that tells us that this is not a one-way street, right? Here's a part that I didn't know, and I really want to share with you. This ratio It's not fixed. It's environmentally driven, which means you can change it. So when you look at the top 3 conditions people experience later in life, heart disease, brain degeneration, such as Alzheimer's and cancer, these are not random. These are symptoms that require the most, these are the systems that require the most energy. So when the energy drops, these are the systems that's going to struggle first. However, have you started to notice that more and more younger people are experiencing these chronic health issues? So going back to what I mentioned about heteroplasmy, rate is increasing. So now the question isn't about what supplements should I take, what should I eat, how much should I exercise, what should I do? Should I do hormone replacement therapy? Those are valid questions. But I invite you to go a layer deep and ask the fundamental questions. Because the deeper questions become, what internal and external environment are you creating for your mitochondria every single day? Because you're not aging because of the time. You're aging because of the mitochondrial environment you are living under. And that can be changed. All right, so that is what I want to share with you today. And I would love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from this cellular healing chat? What questions do you have? Just drop them in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.